Welcome everyone, I'm Madals, and today I have got game 1 of a best of 3. It's from the BabyKnight UK Masters. It's never been cast before, that I can assure you. So this is completely new content. It's completely exciting because there are 2 Swish players going on in here, and this means exciting times for me, for you, maybe even for one of them. Definitely for one of them, because it means they advance. Who that is, I know, you may not, so I'm not going to give it away. I'm just going to introduce these 2 straight off the bat. So, spawning in the bottom right position of Akalon Wastes, we have got the blue Zerg player from Team Liquid. It's Snute. And his opponent up in the top left, the red Protoss. Currently, actually now he's moved to Navi. It's BabyKnight. ZVP is on the cards then, so this means that really we've got some really cool strategies that could be coming out. BabyKnight most likely going to be going for a gateway expand. I know he really likes those, and just by the pylon placement here, the only other thing he could be trying is for some kind of forge in your main, but you generally will only want to do that if you're expecting some kind of early aggression. If you're not expecting the early aggression, which is unlikely from Snute, then there's no real benefit to doing it. Going for the gateway expand, though, allows you to put on some pressure to this natural. Can throw off some Zerg players as well, who try and take their third exceptionally early, maybe even before scouting. And if you manage to get them off guard, then you get a potential weak spot for them where you can apply some pressure. But Snute just getting down his spawning pool first, as he should. We've got the gas from BabyKnight. Everything's running nicely in order. He should take his natural base relatively shortly, just because you want to keep that economy going. But Snute is known, and I've seen him do it a lot, go for a very aggressive roach style against players, and he likes doing it. It's really effective for him, and it wouldn't be uncommon to see him do it on this map, because the ramp up to the natural, and let's look at it from BabyKnight's side, because this is where it's all important. This ramp, quite wide, it makes it a lot more difficult to defend. There's also these rocks down to the side which can be taken out to lever you a side entrance in, potentially a viable opening. There's also good transitions from a lot of roach aggression for a Zerg player. The key one being obviously Hydralisks, but also Swarm Hosts. Swarm Host Hydra, anything that benefits from the plus missile attack upgrade can be really, really effective after roaches, especially if you go in with a +1 missile attack upgrades there straight away. The other reason that it's good for Snute to go for that kind of roach aggressive style, which I'm expecting to see, is because while there isn't an early third base or an early natural out for BabyKnight, Snute doesn't need his early third, so he doesn't need to drone as heavily and can put on a bit of pain. And he's also going to need those units out anyway in order to defend. The Mothership Core, though, that's on its way out for BabyKnight. He's got his second gas, 2 workers in each. His Cyber Core is down, and he's got enough money to start Warp Gate tech, but hasn't started it. That's going to be a conscious decision. It's probably to follow this up with a sentry. So that is the most likely thing. And actually, no, it's not going to be. He was just waiting. And that's really surprising for me, because one thing you often see is a sentry come out just to be able to force field that ramp in case there's any early aggression. But no, not what BabyKnight's going to be doing. He got Warp Gate tech. Now has 100 gas anyway, so can start the sentry. So just an interesting choice from him delaying that Warp Gate tech. Not sure if it was a bit of a misclick there or just a little slip up in his build, but has delayed it by quite a few seconds actually. The Overlord comes in though, sees exactly what's coming down. The Zealot on its way, 2 Zealots on its way over, and the Mothership Core there. The natural base is undefended, but 4 Zerglings are on their way. The third just getting checked by the Zealot, the other Zealot coming straight up into the natural, and this is where a gateway opening can be fun, because 2 Zealots plus a Mothership Core is going to force a huge number of Zerglings in order to deal with it, because even with the Queen, the Mothership Core is just going to be able to help massively. A Time Warp does go down. The first Queen is taking a lot of damage, is going to get itself trapped unfortunately, will die. That takes the Queen count for Snute to 2 though, because he's already got another one out. But if he loses, this Queen is going to hurt his injects, and yes indeed it will now go down. That means the Mothership Core has free reign. No anti-air out on the field, other than the Queen waddling its way down here very slowly. Just means that a couple of drones could potentially die here, and anything you kill is pretty much free with this Mothership Core as long as it doesn't go down. The 2 Zealots did die, but getting 2 Queens for 2 Zealots, that is a good trade. It's the sort of trade you always want to have, because it means that if you've hurt your opponent's economy and their lava injects, they're going to have less lava out, less units, less drones, allowing you to get a bit more ahead. BabyKnight's following this up. He's got his natural down. He's getting an additional gateway and the forge. But the Stargate is the real key thing. He's following this up with more aggression, and probably an Oracle, maybe even Phoenix, just to try and catch his opponent out, because he knows the Queen count is going to be lower after having killed 2, and he's also got a good read on his opponent. Roach Warren, though, just as I was expecting from Snute, could be trying to put on some pain of his own, but with these 2 additional gateways, the sentries here, the wall off, everything is very secure, and for that reason, the Roaches are going to hit quite late, may not be that effective, especially as BabyKnight pumps out more and more units. But Snute, he's got 11 Roaches on the way, they're all rallied towards his natural, now just going straight over to his opponent's natural. He knows what he wants, and if he can snipe off this Forge, then that'll be great for him. But with the sentries here, more no doubt warping in soon, he's got enough to warp in 2 straight away. Just means that actually he should be able to defend this quite nicely, but actually spending the money, the gas should I say, on the Void Ray as opposed to anything else. So a Void Ray will deal good damage to these Roaches very quickly. Roaches of course are armoured, and Prismatic Alignment deals bonus damage to armoured units. The Mothership Core just trying to soften them up a little bit on their way over, sees just how many are on their way. Snute behind this though, droning like a baller, and that just means that his economy is not going to be suffering from this too hard. And in terms of the worker count, he's actually on equal workers already, but he needs to take his 3rd base relatively soon, and as I say that, he drops it down. So, the first Roach getting up the ramp, getting a little bit of vision of the high ground, but the Force Roach quite nice, a small gap there, allowing a few more units to go through, and that means that the Zeta does get taken out. The Void Ray is now down on the field. More Force Roaches need to be placed in order to stop these Roaches just moving up. A Photon Overcharge has been used, sentries and Zealots getting some damage on them, but the Roaches getting cleaned out so quickly now by the Void Rays. The Force Roaches have defended this beautifully, and with the cannon there, which unfortunately just got unpowered, will not be able to do any more damage. But if there was another pylon there in range, maybe it would have been okay. But with the Void Ray, it looks like he'll be fine anyway, and Snute is forced back. His 3rd base is about half done, but he did not do very much damage there in the slightest. 1,500 resources lost for Snute, and considerably less lost for BabyKnight. So, +1 ground weapons has just completed. It's just about to complete. We've got the Twilight Council also on its way down. Unfortunately, this pylon means that this gateway and that photon cannon are unpowered, which means they're not very effective, but that's fine. Another one on its way down. We've got 2 more additional gateways also getting constructed. Another Void Ray on its way to hit the field. The Void Ray and the sentries and stalkers just working away at the rocks. BabyKnight probably going to look to take a 3rd base relatively quickly, because a 3-base Protoss really can do anything, and that is why you are desperate to get up to that point. Snute though, getting an infestation pit, likely to be a transition into swarm host, because his opponent really turtling up quite heavily, and if your opponent is turtling and you know that they've gone for this air strategy, well actually Swarm Hosts are a good choice, because if they've gone for Void Rays, they're not going to have enough gas to get Colossi or High Templar out, which are really the splash you need to deal with Swarm Hosts and their Locusts effectively. So, as we see here, a couple of drones mis-rallied, unfortunately. That leaves a few not doing anything. I hope Snute notices that, because otherwise it's lost mining time. Meanwhile, of course, the Mothership Core getting forced back. We've got all 6 gases mining. There, Snute does notice the 2 or the 4 drones not doing very much. Enduring Locust also on its way down, as well as a whole ton more Roaches. Blink getting research. We've got the more observers coming down onto the field, just to get good map awareness, good vision of what's going on. And BabyKnight just looking to come and push across the map, take the advantage while he's got it, knowing that Snute had committed quite a bit to that Roach push and didn't do any damage. The Swarm Host will not be out in time in order to defend this push if it moves across the map in quick fashion, and therefore could potentially deal some nice damage to this 3rd base. There's 12 Roaches on the field, but that's it. And with the Stalkers, with the Sentries and Force Fields, plus the Void Ray, it would be very tough to deal with. The Force Fields go down straight away. Where's the Mothership Core though? Does have enough energy for a mass recall, and therefore BabyKnight is probably just going to focus down this hatchery, and once that's gone, Snute is going to be in a real pickle of a pain, because without this 3rd, he is on equal basis as his opponent. Only 1 Stalker left behind. Very little damage done to BabyKnight. Massive amounts of damage done to Snute, taking his production down by a 3rd, his income down considerably, and BabyKnight is even going to have his 3rd base up sooner than Snute will. So really this puts Snute in an awkward spot. He's got to deal some damage, because if he doesn't, he is so far behind at this moment in time. Yes, he's got a decent drone count, but not enough bases to utilize it, and without those additional bases, it just puts him in tough times. Double expanding is, in my opinion, his only option. I don't know if he knows about this 3rd. No, he does not. So he isn't even aware that his opponent is getting up that 3rd base really super quick. Orbital speed is coming down as well, and I completely choked then. You know when you kind of cough, and I managed to hit my cough button in time. That's why there was a brief pause, but yeah, Swarm Host burrowing. We've got Locust coming out. This should allow BabyKnight, Snute to hold off BabyKnight's advance for the time being, but BabyKnight is just bossing it up with the upgrades. +2 ground weapons already done, +3 on its way. No upgrades at all yet for Snute. That's really going to hurt him, but what's going to hurt BabyKnight is the lack of splash. How is he going to deal with these Locusts without that? Short answer, with a lot of difficulty, but 2 Colossi on their way out, and if these 2 Colossi hit the field shortly, then he should be okay. He should be able to deal with the splash, especially with the +2 upgrades. The Observer, where is it? It's nowhere to be seen. There we go, so it is with the army. That's good. A couple of Swarm Hosts go down. Needs to force the burrow a long way away. A couple of Force Fields just trying to buy some time for those Colossi to hit the field. They're ever so near. First one pops out, second one pops out, and now BabyKnight should be okay, but just look at the number of Swarm Hosts hitting the field. More on their way across. The creep highway being generated by these Overlords. Where are the Overseers, though? Because that's the big problem that Snute could potentially have in a minute, is his only Overseers on the other side of the map. Meanwhile, we did have a hallucinated Phoenix getting taken out there. Just for the scouting information, the Locust going to pick off that pylon. Also going to try and take out the Forge very quickly. The Colossi doing some good damage, but the timer for those Locusts just running out anyway. More Swarm Hosts are on their way across. The Spire also coming down. The Rocks getting taken out. This multi-prong attack is always going to be frustrating. The Forge gets taken out, which it does. Hugely delays the +3 upgrades coming out for BabyKnight, and that in itself is very frustrating. More pylons going down. Just picking up anything he can, and of course anything you kill with Locust, incredibly cost effective, and that's allowing Snute to catch up. But he's got a long way to go yet. He's still lost about 3 times more resources than his opponent. The Locust, though, doing nicely. 4 Colossi will deal with them quite effectively, though, and therefore Snute really needs to look at his transition out of this. Will he go for some Corruptors to deal with the Colossi? Could do. Will he just tech up even further? May do. We'll wait to see. But for the moment, one Swarm Host getting a little bit lost, getting very eager to move forward. The anti-air is essential to deal with the Observer in order to prevent the Swarm Host getting taken out. But as you can see, just pushing forward ever closer. And this slow move forward is just so indicative of what we see from Terrans with tank lines. Makes it so difficult to engage, because BabyKnight, he's got to deal with the Locusts, otherwise they will tear apart his base and his army, and that's why so many Colossi are being forced. The Templar Archives also on its way down, because with those Templar Archives you'll be able to storm kill Locusts in one, therefore allowing you to push forward trying to kill the Swarm Hosts that spawn them. But you've got to be able to get them more photon cannons coming down. BabyKnight knows his defense has got to be good, and he can't defend his natural and third at the same time effectively. And Snute, with the position of these Swarm Hosts, can just send them either side of this cliff, making it very awkward for the Protoss player. Corruptors are coming down, though. They're on their way. We've got the 4th and 5th base on its way for Snute, so he's really expanding. Now he's taken the map dominance with these Locusts. He's really pulling him back in terms of the resources lost, engaging very cost effectively. A single Spore Caller did it manage to take out the Observer? No, it did not. So the Observer pulling back, though, because now in come the Corruptors. The Stalkers have got to decide what they're going to focus, and it looks like they will go for the Corruptors themselves. The Colossi are getting focused down, though, but just look at the spread of these Swarm Hosts. They're so far back, but BabyKnight looks to be breaking the siege, losing a lot of Colossi, and those Colossi getting taken out are going to be a big problem. But the bigger problem is the fact that Snute is losing nearly all of his Swarm Hosts, and that many going down is incredibly large of a loss for him. He's lost over double the resources of his opponent already, and now BabyKnight, breaking this contain, can start moving across the map, and Snute knows he's got no answer to it, and GG's out. So that was game 1 of a best of 3. If you liked it, like the video, leave a cool comment, and of course subscribe. I'll catch you at game 2, which you can find on my channel any second. I'm Madals, catch you